When a woman comes to the table with an attitude, Farrell, F this. There's already something going on. Even if other people around us are doing bad stuff, the way we're interacting and responding to it also reflects on our heart. Welcome back to Rose Talks. It's Rosalie, aka Rose, where we're all about entertainment, meeting, education, looking at videos, reviewing content from all around the world to gain wisdom, to develop ourselves, to grow, and to find practical applications for life. There's a whole lot of videos out there that polarize extremes on all sides, and I feel like there's a lack of actual guidance and instruction for our day-to-day life when we look at these viral videos. So let's react to some of it. Let's check it out together. Today, I want to talk about this influencer who many people are talking about right now because she was complaining about being objectified, if you will, at the gym. And we'll look at a couple of clips, but what she was claiming was that she was being looked at, stared at, that she was incredibly uncomfortable, and people are responding to it, reacting to it. And I'm just going to look at a couple of these clips with you, and then we'll talk about it. So, here we go.
This is how to not approach girls at the gym.
I hate this. I hate when there's weirdos. It makes me so uncomfortable. Feral, like feral.
All right, comment number 1. And I gotta be wise how I review and react to this because I don't know people's hearts. This lady has her camera going, has her microphone on, clearly knows what she's doing because she got that mic close to her, got good audio going. I don't think her issue is that she does not want attention. Okay, you got those tight gym clothes. I'm not saying you got to come in baggy pants. Men don't do it. Why should women, right? Equality. I get that to a degree. But we won't talk about that yet. We don't talk about Bruno, at least not yet. But I don't think she clearly has an issue with being recorded, being seen, being observed. I would argue that that's exactly what she wants if she's going in there with a camera. Also, my question would be, why did you turn the camera on? Are you just trying to capture yourself doing a workout? Are you doing a little tutorial on how to? Are you sharing your fitness journey with the world? And why is the video not about that? I don't know the context. Maybe this is just a clip out of her whole video. But what I'm noticing here is that she is recording herself and the focus is solely everybody else around her and what they're doing. That in itself is something we find on social media a lot. That huge focus on everybody and their mama, looking for validation outside, changing things about ourselves on the outside, demanding how people address us and call us and refer to us on the outside. What is everybody else doing on the outside? I mean, it's so much external stuff that we're not dealing with what's going on inside. But that's just my initial thought. Even just that pause and the cute little look, I can't take that serious. Like, girl, you have an attitude and you think that you're innocent and sweet. I don't buy it, but maybe I'm being biased because I've also seen some of these reactions and people commenting on
You're gonna catch people. Act. Oh, this is nothing.
See, even that mindset, oh, this is nothing. When a woman comes to the table with an attitude, Farrell, F this, and then does, oh, this is nothing. I'm not getting a vibe of humility and kindness and purity. And I'm not talking about sexual purity. I'm talking about a purity of heart. And I'm not saying this because I'm better, okay? I've been guilty of all kinds of mistakes and sins in my life, all right? But when we come to the table with this attitude, there's already something going on. Even if other people around us are doing bad stuff, the way we're interacting and responding to it also reflects on our heart. Okay, let me give you an example. If you say or do something, obviously, I may judge what you're saying or doing to a degree, but the observer influences the observation. So say you post a picture, for example, and I think, oh my goodness, you're just doing it for clicks and likes. That was my thought. That originated in my heart and possibly says more about me than it does you. Is it possible you did it for clicks and likes? Yes. But that thought originated in me, and that's where I have to start. And I got to apply that same mindset when I'm reacting to and interacting with this video about her. I'm judging, I'm making assumptions, so I gotta preach to the choir. But I think it's important to consider that on all ends. Me, as I'm reacting to this, but even her as she's reacting to the world around her and judging these gentlemen. What are you looking for? Why are you making these comments, right? We all have to start with ourselves, and that's what's lacking a lot of times in social media.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the 35 now. I want you to watch very carefully. Just watch. There's the 5 as £5.
Okay, and she's commenting, or there's these subtitles saying he's staring like a piece of meat. I get that it makes women uncomfortable. I've been looked at in ways that made me uncomfortable. I understand that. But there's a couple of things to consider. Number one, we don't know where he's looking at exactly, right? Number two, there's a difference between staring and looking over at somebody. Number three, you go to the gym or any place, people will watch people. That happens naturally when you are somewhere else. Number four, you rock in here with booty shorts, tight clothing, people are going to look, women and men. Now, does that mean that, oh, I'm responsible for what other people do based on how I dress? No, everybody's responsible for themselves. Never does a person have a right to invade another's space, to take something from them without consent. So please don't misunderstand me. I'm not ever saying the woman is at fault if she gets assaulted or raped. Ever. But we women can't just cherry pick, right? Just as much as men have no right to step into our space, take something from us physically or emotionally without our consent. In the same way, we can't present ourselves a certain way and then be surprised we get a certain reaction. If I come here, shave my whole head off, my whole hair, not my head, and I come to you, I can't judge you for looking at my bald head and being like, whoa, what happened, right? You looked different last time. If I come in here and I present myself in a certain way, or revealing certain body parts, I can't judge you for looking in that direction. We are human beings. Men and women do it. Women might do the same thing towards men if they show up with certain clothing. If a man came in ripped, well trained, and he came in, shirtless, or let's say he came in with some weird thong looking gym shorts, okay? We women would look maybe out of confusion, what the heck is he doing, or because we have an issue with it because it's indecent exposure, but nonetheless we would look, right? That's why a lot of these Insta models and all these crappy websites out there are getting all that traffic, because that's what people are drawn to, because sex sells. So while I'm not saying a woman is responsible for what a man does, we all have to be in control of our own thoughts, and it doesn't give a man a right to take something. If I put myself out there a certain way, I also can't be shocked and surprised that I'm going to be perceived a certain way. It's both and, okay? And that's something that we need to talk about. Just because a man doesn't have a right to treat you like a piece of meat or look at you a certain way doesn't mean you have the right to do whatever you want. If we tell men you can't do whatever you want, you can't take what you like and look at me however you like, you don't have that right. The same goes for us. You, woman, don't have the right to come in here dressing however you want and thinking that people are going to treat you how you demand they treat you. We've got to practice what we preach. And if we want to be treated with a certain level of respect, we've got to present ourselves respectful. But yeah, those are my first few points.
These are the rates. Excuse me? You don't have to do that. It's okay. No, it's okay. I got it. Thank you, though.
And side note, I understand the level of being nervous when someone keeps looking at you. He may not even be looking at her, by the way. Maybe he's looking, noticing that there's a camera. Maybe he's watching to see what she's going to do with the weights. Maybe he's impressed at how fit she is and how she's doing this by herself. Maybe he's wondering what she's mumbling about to herself. There's so many possibilities, right? But let's say he's even looking there a few times. I get that it makes her uncomfortable. I've been in those situations where it makes me uncomfortable, especially when the person starts walking my way. I might get nervous because I'm not sure how this interaction is going to be. That's human, okay? Men that go up to a woman to ask her out are nervous. It takes them a lot of courage. I've had men come up to me just to give me a kind compliment. It was one of the sweetest things where men just came up and they didn't want anything, or at least they claimed, and they just wanted to let me know that I was beautiful, or that they, that they liked my smile, and then they walked away. And probably took them courage, because especially in our day and age, that might be misperceived. So you have everybody and their mama and all kinds of different possibilities of how people feel, men and women. But in this case, I understand that it could be a little nerve-wracking to not know, what does this person want from me? Why are they coming up in my direction? But, he was trying to help, it seems. He was wanting to maybe help her with the weight, which may have been his way of starting a conversation. That's understandable. What's wrong with that, right? I mean, there are so many situations where, say, for example, if there's an attractive woman out and about and she sees an attractive man and they're both single, or she's single hoping he is, There's many situations where women want the man to make a move, where women hope, oh, is he going to talk to me? Or ask themselves, should I go up and talk to him? How is he supposed to know that she might not be interested? How is he supposed to know that this is not going to turn into anything, right? He may have just wanted to help her, may be interested in her, maybe wanting to, start a conversation. If that's now to be condemned, goodness, the level of self-entitlement we sometimes have. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And I think, I don't know if there's another clip. I don't know if this is the same person. Some video, a woman claiming that the trainer was caught on camera being a pervert, and then she stood up for herself. Let's look at that real quick. And then he threatened to call the police, I guess. Let me fast forward a little bit. So she's taking off her clothes. And it said in captions, oh, dang. But I don't know if that's what they actually said. Okay? I do not trust social media. That could have been her claiming that he said that. That could have been him mouthing something that sounded like it. Or that could have been literally him saying, oh, dang. I've had that plenty of times. Going somewhere and people are like, oh, snap. And they make it known what they think about you. Does that make a woman uncomfortable? Absolutely. Do I think men should be catcalling women? No. We are not pieces of meat. Men operate different than women. If women started yelling, oh, dang, right, to a man, he would probably not be as uncomfortable as women are. He probably would be like, yeah, I'm it, right? Men will respond to that type of attention differently. They want it. Women don't always want that, right? It makes you uncomfortable, especially if you're by yourself and there's a group of men and there's that imbalance of power. I don't think that that's the right approach to show a woman your admiration or affection. If you are a single man, not taken and committed, hopefully with covenant eyes and a pure mind, but if you're not taken and you're single looking for a mate, I understand, right, that there is a desire to express to the other, like animals at the end of the day, oh, I'm interested in you. And just like in the animal kingdom, we have different mating calls. I am not a fan of catcalling. I'm not a fan of men who are trying to make other women make it known that they're interested. I'm not a fan of that being done in a perverted or demeaning way. I don't think that that's the right approach. And I think that men who really want marriage or a relationship or a woman of integrity and beauty will not do that. A lot of times that's a certain type of man too, that goes, hey babe, hey, whoo, dang, that type of mindset. Chances are that those are not husband material men anyways. And it's going to make a wife material woman uncomfortable. But just as much as there's men and knuckleheads out there who don't necessarily have integrity, single or taken, who have wandering eyes and a lustful heart and just are not clear in their head, just as much as there's men out there and it makes women uncomfortable, there's women out there like that too. Catcalling, fishing, it's all ultimately the same thing. It's looking for attention in an unhealthy way.
You need something? You need something? Do you need something? No. Do you need something? Do you need something? No. Okay, I thought so.
Are you okay?
Keep it pushing.
If you're getting rude, you can leave. Nobody was looking at you any type of way.
So I'm not even going to finish watching this. This is very similar, that mindset, okay? Like I said, women don't want to be looked at as an object. When women don't want to be uncomfortable, chances are that she feels uncomfortable, maybe threatened. A lot of times at the core of everything we do and say, it's either love or fear. And there is, of course, aspects to this where men will act a certain way. Say there's an imbalance of power because there's a group of men, in this case 2 of them and 1 female. There are situations where women genuinely feel uncomfortable, or it triggers something they've experienced where they were assaulted in the past, or it makes them feel objectified, right? I've talked about this in another video. It boils down to existential fear. We want our life to value. We want our life to have value. We want it to have meaning. We don't want to just be some object. Time is running out. Life is short, and it's precious. And we want to mean something. We want to be loved. And so, understandably, if a woman feels like she's being objectified, or she's just loved for her body, or, she's not treasured for the human she is, that's going to trigger certain fears of feeling maybe insignificant or used and small. And that will touch on existential fears and what we mean as a person in this life. That goes for men and women. But then there's also the flip side to it, is that when we present ourselves a certain way, we don't have to be surprised people get a certain attention. And it's very often this both and conversation, right? If I were to go on the street screaming my lungs out right now, acting like a lunatic, I'm going to get a certain response from people, even if I'm hurting. And ideally, hopefully, someone would see through the facade, not just record it for a viral Karen video. Hopefully, people would go, wait a minute, something's wrong here. Let's help this person. The truly compassionate and those who are emotionally intelligent might recognize this is not just a Karen moment, somebody is hurting here. But in the world we live in, where there's a lot of consumerism, clickbait, views mean money, a lot of people brush over that, it seems. It feels like that sometimes. At least social media would have us believing that, where people are so quick to make judgments, or people are quick to just, record something for their own views instead of wondering what's really going on with this individual. And so while ideally we would look beyond the behavior and the symptom to what's going on underneath, the cause, at the same time we have to understand our behaviors and the symptoms do have consequences. Even if this person screaming on the street is hurting, their screaming is going to have a consequence nonetheless. People are going to perceive this person in a certain way. Just as much as this woman may deep down long for love, not to be objectified, wants to be safe. At the same time, both and, questions such as, why do you have a camera rolling? Why are you slowly taking off your clothes and then be surprised that you get attention? You're very shapely, you're beautiful, you're wearing these super tight clothes with people behind you. It's not really fair to men either to be like, how dare you look at me? Are you sure you didn't want them to? Because if you didn't, you could have worn some very different clothing. I'll tell you that. And sure, there's always going to be perverts out there that will, lust even after someone in a potato sack. And no, I don't think it's women's responsibility to go dressed in sackcloth to make sure men are not lusting. No, men are responsible for their minds and their eyes and their thoughts and their behaviors. And a woman should be able to walk around freely without being objectified. I'm not saying they need to hide themselves in blankets so men don't lust and keep it in their pants. Absolutely not. They have to take responsibility. But the flip side of that is also our demeanor and the way we present ourselves has consequences too. It's both and. I think I saw somewhere that this was also a female who was on one of those websites that sells their pictures for money. So it begs to ask, what are you trying to really accomplish? I would propose, and I could be wrong, but I would propose that a lot of this is to go viral, to have people like Matt Walsh and many, many others react to it and bring attention to it. And unfortunately, when we talk about extremes and we talk about these crazy concepts out there on social media, unfortunately, because those are such shock effect videos, the more people react to it and the more people comment on it, the more attention it draws to said people, and the more they become rich off of these videos and their crazy ideas. And I'm contributing to that right now, I know. But I want to talk about this not just for the purpose of, oh my gosh, can you believe what she did? That video went viral, Matt Walsh's reaction to it, and Brett Cooper and all these people commenting on this type of stuff. They're going viral, so let me also talk about it. There's the element of wanting to grow your business and want to talk about things that people are actually interested in, sure. But I don't want to fuel the toxicity by just bringing attention to it. Instead, I want to propose an alternative. Know that you are worth growing. Know that you're worth developing. Know that you can be whole and get the type of love that you want. But you have to do the hard work to be more whole within yourself. There's nothing wrong with being pretty. Nothing wrong with going for a workout. There's nothing wrong with having boundaries and asking people to respect them. But that goes both ways. It creates a society more and more where we can't trust each other, where people are afraid what they're saying because somebody could be recording and it'll be taken out of context and they'll be, shunned for life, if you will, until people forget or they're distracted by the latest trend. And that's dangerous, right? Because the more we fuel a mindset of fear, the more we operate from a place of nobody can trust anybody. That also applies to these whole male-female dynamics in these videos we watch. The more we create this idea of you versus me, I can't trust you, you can't trust me, you're the villain, I'm the villain. No wonder we're not able to create a place of love, mutual respect. When you foster a place of insecurities and suspicion, you will not have a healthy plant grow. In soil of poison and toxicity, you will not have a fruitful, healthy tree. And in the same sense, in an environment of suspicion and misunderstandings and assumptions and things taken out of context and just a bunch of external focus, and a focus that's just external instead of internal and self-development, you won't have a tree that grows into righteousness and beauty and healthy relationships and wholesome men and women that can come together and build something beautiful. So I'll leave on that note. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.